When the only constant in life is change, you need to be ready. This is the Man-Made Survival Show.
Hello everybody, my name is Jose from Man-Made Survival, and thank you so much for coming back to the channel and watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you would please share this information with your friends and family, because this information is very, very important. And the more information you have at your disposal, the better you'll be able to make choices, and the better you'll be prepared to make those calls whenever they come to you. Before I go any further, I want to introduce to you my first book that I've written, which is Preppers Secrete Cache. You can go to www.preppersecretecache.com and you can order the book from there. The book is free. And the reason I'm doing it for free is because I want to get this information to a lot of people as soon as possible, because we saw how many people try to prep at the very last minute, and not only were they not able to do it, they were doing it all wrong. So hopefully with this information, at their disposal, they'll be able to be prepared or have more of an understanding of preparedness the next time around when another crisis comes along, because certainly this is not the only one. So I encourage you to go on there. The only thing we need help with, by the way, is the shipping. So the book is free, but the shipping is just a couple bucks. I think it's like $6-7, something like that. So if you can help us with that, we'll send the book to you for free, and we'll put it on there as soon as we can and send it to you as quickly as possible. But anyways, I want to move on to the numbers, because just in the past 24 hours, the numbers increased by 20,000 in the United States and almost 100,000 throughout the world. So here's the numbers for the coronavirus throughout the world. It's 532,000. We're over the 500,000 threshold there. And the number of dead is 24,065. In the United States alone, it's 85,268 confirmed cases with 1,293 dead. Now the United States is the leading with the numbers on the coronavirus infections, and we have surpassed Italy. And supposedly in the models, we were about 8 days behind Italy, and now we're past them. And we saw how Italy 2 to 3 weeks ago, they took measures to where they locked down the entire country. Nobody could go anywhere, and their peak has already been reached, and it's now starting to slow down. And very unfortunately, we have not done the United States, and that is very unfortunate and very irresponsible on the part of the Trump administration. Because if we would have had the same measures in the United States to where nobody is traveling locally, for example, by that I mean like air travel, because there's still people from New York flying to Florida. Just recently, somebody told me that Louisiana, even though they're in lockdown, they have sent there's people that have gone there and then drove back to where to the area I live, and that just blows my mind. It makes me kind of angry, because those people who do not take it serious, they're making things worse. And we have seen how in the United States, because everybody is so divided, they cannot look at a simple virus, all right, and say, yes, it's dangerous, it is here, we need to take care of it. They would rather say that a certain political group, it's milking it and it's just a hoax and everything else, because they refuse to believe it, because the boogeyman is in Washington, D.C. on either side, and they don't want to pay attention until it's in their home and they see that their loved ones are dying, and then they want to take it serious. But anyways, that's just a frustration that I have on my part, because I wish people would take it more serious, especially in the White House. The headline that I have here in front of me is coronavirus lockdown could last 10 to 12 weeks. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin warns millions may have to stay home until June to slow the spread, as he nears deal that will pump $1 trillion into the economy and give families $3,000 each. And this from Daily Mail. Well, now we know is $2 trillion, and the number it's actually a little greater. $2,400 for couples, $500 for each kid. depending on the family, that could be more than $3,000. But anyways, the lockdown affecting 80 million people, near 1 in 4 of the American population, to try to curb the spread of the coronavirus is likely to last 10 to 12 weeks, or until June, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has said. Americans are adapting to the biggest change in daily life since World War II, with schools closed, sports canceled, and economic upheaval as job losses mount with the shuttering of businesses across the industry. Hospitals are scrambling for protective equipment for healthcare workers and ventilators as they brace for a wave of patients who will need help breathing. U.S. cases climbed to over 25,000 on Sunday morning, and at least 325 people have died, with about half the cases in New York State, according to Reuters tally. And I don't have the exact date of this article, but if this was a few days ago, Sunday, then you can see how fast this has moved, and just in the past week. Now, out of all of this is not only affecting this country. We know that it's affecting another 100 and something other countries. And because of this, we have this headline, or because of that, we have this headline. Countries are starting to hoard food, threatening global trade. This from MSN.com. It's not just grocery shoppers who are hoarding pantry staples. Some governments are moving to secure domestic food supplies during the coronavirus pandemic. Kazakhstan, one of the world's biggest shippers of wheat flour, banned exports of that product along with others, including carrot, sugar, and potatoes. Serbia has stopped the flow of its sunflower oil and other goods. Russia is leaving the door open to shipment bans and said it's assessing the situation weekly. Here's one headline. Here's one quote. You could see wartime rationing, price controls, and domestic stockpiling, she said. Some nations are adding to their strategic reserves. China, the biggest rice grower and consumer, pledged to buy more than ever before from its domestic harvest. Even though the government already holds massive stockpiles of rice and wheat, enough for everyone to consume in 1 year. Kazakhstan had already stopped exports of other food staples like buckwheat and onions before the move this week to cut off wheat flour shipments. The latest action was a much bigger step, with the potential to affect companies around the world that rely on the supplies to make bread. And that is one of the reasons why you need to take control of your food supply. And if you can grow this, in your own backyard, that would be the best thing you could ever do. But if you cannot, then you need to become creative on things you'll be able to do at home. Now, with technology, as wonderful as it is, you can grow potatoes out of a bucket. You can grow things out of buckets. Just do the research and you can see that there's a lot of ways and a lot of techniques that you can grow food in your own balcony or whatever. So I encourage you to do that. But if you do have the space, you do have the backyard big enough to do all of this, you need to start planting your food now. And you need to start taking control of your food security before it's all gone. We're going to come for you. Trump trade czar Peter Navarro warns medical supply hoarders. This from the WashingtonExaminer.com. President Trump, top trade and manufacturing policy advisor, took aim at medical supplies brokers trying to sell critical items at vastly inflated prices. Brokers are offering millions of items, whether they are goggles, masks, or whatever. And you go through 3 different brokers tracing to a warehouse in Los Angeles that's allegedly got 10 million masks, and they want to charge you 7 times what they cost. White House Director of Trade and Industrial Policy Peter Navarro said during a coronavirus press briefing on Sunday. That's price gouging, he added. Now, I know that the article is talking about companies, right? That's what it sounds like. But really, this is to the individual. And the next line and the next article is gonna prove how they're not just talking to companies. So preppers and everybody else who's listening to this, listen up, because this message is for you. A message to the hoarders. If you've got any large quantities of materials that this country needs right now, get them to market or get them to us. We'll pay you a fair price, Navarro said. But if you don't do that, we're going to come for you and make sure that doesn't happen in this country. So the point is that now that they have declared the national emergency, they have the power to actually come to your home and take whatever they feel they need. So it'll be up to them to say, you need this much, and they'll take the rest. And let's remember, it's not just toilet paper that people were hoarding or are hoarding. It's also the food and the grocery stores. The shelves are bare, and it's just a whole other bunch of stuff that the government may say, we need it, we're gonna come get it. Trump signs executive order to prevent price gouging, hoarding of medical supplies. This from The Hill. And this one is the one that has the verbiage that says that that's to the individual, not just the companies, to the individual. The executive order signed by Trump on Monday gives Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar the authority to design certain supplies as critical, meaning those found to be hoarding or price gouging such equipment could face criminal action, Barr said. Once specific materials are so designated, persons are prohibited from accumulating those items in excess of reasonable personal or business needs, or for the purpose of selling them in excess of prevailing market price, Barr said. It's a crime to engage in prohibited activity, the Attorney General continued. There it is. There's the line that it's not just for the companies, but for the individual too. When they have a national emergency, when they declare it, whether it's to the local, the state, or the national level, when they say the authority, whenever they go ahead and designate certain supplies as critical, meaning those found to be hoarding or price gouging such equipment could be faced criminal action. Once specific materials are so designated, persons are prohibited from accumulating those items in excess of reasonable personal or business needs. So who's gonna be the one that's gonna be judging how much you need? Because I say, or here at Men Survival, we say that you need at least 6 months to a year worth of food. And the same thing with water. So they just come in and say, no, we think you have too much food, we're just gonna go ahead and take it. Then what do? Right? And it's not like you can sue them. It's a national emergency, and they're gonna take whatever they feel they need. Now, this is where the prepping comes in place, because this is why you need a secret cache, right? This is why you need to not have everything in your home. You have to put things into little cache and hide it, all right? You can get a barrel, something that you can put in the ground, and you can put preps in there. It can be in your backyard. It can be in your grandma's backyard. It can be in your friend's backyard. You have to get creative. But the point is that you try your best to keep these things away from the government, because if one day they ever come and knock on your door, and they come in and they look through and they take everything they need, and they leave you with whatever they deem that you need, all right, then you won't be in despair. You can, not fight them, just let them take whatever they want to. I mean, it's the United States Army, not like you're going to fight them. And once they're gone and they check you off the list, then you can go, dig up your prep and you resupply yourself. That's why you have to have multiple things. You can do a barrel a month. Like this barrel is 1 month worth of food and water, guns and ammo, whatever. You dig it up, you use it. And then another place on the secret cache, and then you dig it up and use it as the months go on. So that's the purpose of hiding your things from the government, because they have come out and said if they think that you've hoarded too much of one thing, they're going to take it from you. So if they do that, that's just going to create problems all throughout the country. But they have a plan on how to deal with people like that. Inside the U.S. military's plan to stop civil disturbances amid coronavirus pandemic, something they haven't done in 30 years. This from ConcernedUSPatriots.com. With the National Guard now active in 22 states and governors continuing to declare more severe emergency measures daily, the U.S. military is preparing to enforce, the U.S. military is preparing forces to assume a large role in the coronavirus response, including the controversial mission of quelling civil disturbances and enforcing the law, a mission that the military has not engaged in for almost 30 years. Martial law involves the use of the military to exercise police powers, restore and maintain order, ensure essential mechanics of distribution, transportation, and communication, and conduct necessary relief measures. Officials may be authorized to impose martial law within particular states under that state's law. So there it is. How are they gonna be dealing with people who feel that they are being stolen from by the government? They already have it in place because now we're under national emergency. The military is already, active. The measures are already in place, and the governors keep giving themselves more and more power, more dictatorial power. For example, in Illinois, like I had shared in another podcast, that they can come and they can take your gas, they can take your guns, they can take your property if they feel like it. You will not get compensated. All they do is say, we need it because we're in an emergency. Now you need to get out. What do? You just, hopefully you have a bogout location. All right. If you can leave without getting into a conflict with them, they let you go on your way, then hopefully you have a second location to go to. So that's why prepping is very important. Right now it's too late to prep. Way too late. All right. For the people who had not taken it serious and suddenly their eyes are open, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's way too late. For the rest of us here in Man Survival, for all of you who have listened, right now is the time for you to go to for one, your bug out location if you're able to anymore. All right. And if you can, if you need to start to go ahead and plant your seeds, and if you have the infrastructure to grow, your livestock, or like chickens and rabbits and whatnot, then you need to go ahead and find those chickens and rabbits to start raising them. And it's something that you need to go ahead and start doing if you have not thought of it already, because this is going to last a long time. And let's keep in mind, even though Trump said that he wants the entire country to be open by Easter, doing that, let's say that they do go ahead and open up for Easter, doing that is just going to create more cases, it's going to create more death, and that probably at the end of the day, he's going to have to shut down the entire country, and we're going to be in this a lot longer than what we would have if he would have closed the country 2-3 weeks ago with Italy. All right. But anyways, I want to remind you about the book, PreppersSecretCache.com, or www.PreppersSecretCache.com, or just click the link below. Please don't forget to share this video, like the video, subscribe, because like I brought you this information. This information is very, very important. So stick around, because I'm going to be doing another podcast and I'm going to be uploading it soon. But again, my name is Jose Prado, Man Survival. Always ready.
The Man-Made Survival Show.